for picking up details. A truly great book, Brian. I really appreciate this. Truly great. Probably not going to get any sleep tonight either reading on this. And this is the kind of stuff when you can compare the early ones to the late ones, the marks. You just go right down the list here. The dual canopy option, Griffin powered ones, pointy rudder ones, the Seafires, and the Spiteful. And by the way, in this book, it's not only Spitfires. This one is one of the ones, I know Banjack, eat your heart out here. Mustangs, twin Mustangs, P-40s. We're going to get busy watching these videos later today. Talk to Midgley. Midgley's almost ready to get his profile Cardinal fired up. He's going to be putting a K&B 40 in it. Maybe we can help him out with some technology and some props and whatever. Oh boy, Banjack, you're in. Yeah, I hope we're going to be seeing that canopy plug pretty soon. Just a whole world of neat stuff yet to be modeled. If you only had more time, that would be the whole thing. Whole thing would be just not to be this old where you run out of time. Look at this, we're missing a great day of flying. We got a 500 length train here. Unbelievable. Come on, I'm wasting all my good air. Now we fought the raindrops, the trains, everything all the way up here. The field is really soaked, so this is a good time. In fact, you can even see the parking lot is soaked. Rather than get some flights in real early here, I want to cut up my set of lines. I want to get a set of lines 2 feet longer than what we've been using, so that I'll have some variation and I can use that as a little test just to see how much line this little guy likes to pull. So what I always do is the first step is get the original lines. These are the lines we've been using for testing. They're probably on the short side. I get out my 100-foot ruler. Notice it's a nice brand new rule and never been repaired. And I want to get another set, basically cut up another set of lines 2 feet longer than this, so now I can go back and forth between the short lines and the long lines. Now, whenever you're doing work with lines, it's real important to have a reference. The reference that you use is not the length of the lines. You go from the center of the fuselage, in this case here's the ruler, to the center of the handle, and you can see our original set of lines was 62 feet. So we want to make this set up 64 feet. Add on 2 feet. In fact, what we'll do is we'll make them 65, and if they're too long we can cut them to 64. We'll even push our luck just a little bit, but first thing is to get a square one, get a reference, and always measure center of the lines to the center of the handle. Don't measure the lines. Measuring the lines is not a valid way to measure things. Center to center. First thing I do, get rid of these line clips. These are illegal. They're not legal for competition. And you've seen so many of them that when you fly, these little things open up. Basically, under those conditions, you're just asking for an accident to happen. These are really not appropriate for flying a 40 size plane. Not in my book anyway. These, let me show you where these go. Bye. I want to have only the heavy duty line clips. Now I want to get some wire, have some the soft copper wire that John Brodak sells, so I'm all set to wrap. Never, ever, for any reason at all, use these crimps. This is another accident waiting to happen. These are basically things that I don't even know why they give them to you. They're not legal in competition. They're of no value. Just deep six them. Okay, so we want to have wrapped wire ends. I'm going to get out some wire and wrap one end of these. I never ever want to store the lines on small reels, not for a good plane, not for a plane that you're afraid of kinking the end of the wire and having an accident. Big reels only. Soft copper wraps only. No substitutes. Step 1, I wrap just about an inch of material, and it looks like I'll need 2 packs of wire to wrap a set of lines. Well, you do one end, but basically I want to cut the piece of wire that comes from Brodak about in half and use half of it for each line wrap. And just wrap it back upon itself and wrap right to the end and twist it. Now I always use a little length of red wire, or in some way to identify which is the up line on both ends of the line. Now what I do with the ruler staked into the roughly the center line of the fuselage, I take an Allen wrench and I stake both of the ends, and this is one of the good tricks you can use to really make your life convenient. Stake that end in roughly where you want the lines to be. Now when you walk out to the other end, you want to see, I want to do this on camera, this is really a good trick. You know, that's the whole thing with stunt. There's 1,000 good tricks that save you time and money and energy and make the hobby fun. So now I have the original roll of lines. I see I want to make these 65 feet. So what I do is I lay the handle on 65 feet, and now I see roughly my lines are coming out, and I want to make these exactly the same. Well, because they're staked in, you don't want to have them on the lead outs of the plane, you want them staked in. Staked in. Now I can pick these up, just put the slightest little kink in them. Hard to do this with one hand. And see, now I can take them apart, wrap these ends, and I know the 2 lines are exactly the same length. So now, even though I've switched lines, in effect I shouldn't have to make a major change to the handle, because the lead outs coming out of the plane have a certain offset, the handle has a certain offset, and if we replace equal lines with equal lines, you should be able to change the handle from sets of lines with a very minor, if any, handle adjustment. And that is a really good trick, and it works every time. You just wrap it back over itself, repeat this whole thing on this end, and then of course we'll hook them up to the handle and see if we need to fine-tune the handle adjustment, or if it's going to stay pretty much the same. Now nobody else is up here, so I really need another person to pull test these lines effectively, but I'll just stake a stick in the ground and give them a little pull test. Because what happens, you snug up the ends, and it really does change the handle adjustment just a little bit. You really don't want to fly without pull testing them. Now, as I said before, these are the only kind of line clips I like to use. I always put a piece of the fishing tubing up over. I can't do it right now. I want to wrap the other side. And whenever you add length, you add some line length, think of adding a little more tip weight for the first flight until you get comfortable. In this case, we'll add 1/4 ounce of tip weight and then see if we can fly with the tip weight in, tip weight out. The tip weight will correspond to the line length. Heavier lines, longer lines, more tip weight. Lighter lines, shorter lines. For instance, if we were to be experimenting with solids, we would be taking tip weight out. And I always use these rubber fishing line covers. Otherwise, you can run out to the handle. These things are like this, and plunk. This totally eliminates that. In all the years I've been using it, never had one go, and it'll always happen at a contest, that's for sure. Cheap insurance, you can buy it at any fishing store. Just thinking of something, John, this may be a good product for Brodak to carry. These little, I guess this is a 3-inch length of fishing tubing. I never thought of carrying it myself, even because I just buy it, and everybody I know uses it. It's an excellent, excellent little tip. It'll save you at least one broken prop a year, that's for sure. Now, the beautiful part of using this system is we haven't lost neutral at all. So in effect, we can switch back from the 62-foot lines to the 65, and we'll probably wind up at 64 feet. 65 is a little long for a 42-ounce model. Line length is usually determined by the prop diameter and the weight of the model and very little else. So again, we're going to find out next time we get a full day to fly. That was a nice little way of, well, I hope you picked up some good information. Let's make sure. And see, there's the 65. Just one more little test piece in the puzzle, and that'll get us ready for the next flying session. We can just unroll them out of the box and go flying. It'll be really handy.
All the music wrong, so I stepped out with an
looks like we have a nice flying day. I expect the Atamusco machine is already here. Bob Martens is supposed to come down. Oh yeah, they're over there. Hey, look at a rabbit. Check it out. There's a rabbit on our flying field. What the hell is this? What do you think, you're in Pennsylvania here? Look at this guy. Yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania. Fine, move. Come on, rabbit. As he works away. We got robins, we got rabbits. We got everything here. Should be a great day.
I must admit, we made a hit. Goofus has been lucky for me.
He's already here. I don't believe it. He's already here. All right, take the rag off. This is Bob Martens is going to show us a Nats winning wing over pull out on the first shot.
No, sir.
Joe, how long ago did you build this plane?
There's a history on this one, man.
Give me the history, man. Flip it over.
See the wing? Polaris?
Yeah.
That wing was built in 1974.
Okay.
And that is a replica of Billy Simon's Gemini wing.
Oh, okay.
It's got like a Nobler airfoil.
Yeah, thin airfoil.
And it's a foam wing. And the wing in raw wood, before I put a finish on it, weighed 16 ounces. So that tells you something, okay?
Okay, piece one of the
I built
puzzle.
the airplane, I flew it. It was what it was. It wasn't a very good airplane. And I gave it to my brother-in-law, and he kept crashing it. And the only thing that survived all the crashes was the wing, because it was really heavy. So the wing was hanging in his garage, and I wanted him to have something to fly with. So I put a few slides in it, a few parts together. It's kind of like a stunt trainer, if you will.
Yeah.
But it's an old wing. And the fuse and tail and staff.
It's a 15-year-old wing, no matter how you look at it.
But the fuse is about 5 or 6 years old.
Flip it over, Joe. Let's see the bottom.
It works good. The bottom.
I've never even seen this plane, even once.
Plainer than the top.
Oh, okay.
Used to have gear in the wing.
Yeah.
But the fuselage, Pro Stunt construction, half-inch motor mounts.
Solid nose.
V deflector, Super Tiger 60, And it weighs. The weight of this is a paltry 74 ounces.
Paltry? Poultry.
With no airfoil.
No airfoil.
No
Oh.
airfoil.
Don't you just hate when you get all done with a plane and you forgot to put an airfoil in the wing? Man, Borelli did that one year. Why didn't I make the airfoil thicker? Oh no. Boy, was he pissed off.
It's had a
kind of a cool looking plane.
trainer.
Yeah, it is.
Flies good out of 6-inch high grass.
Yeah, nice and high in the front. Nice AHM prop. Cool.
Actually, that's a prop you used to make fillets with.
Yeah.
Still works. You can, when you make fillets, you just take it off and clean it up and pull it back on your airplane.
Yeah.
But it's a good general look. Here's some old technology. Check this out. The way the old rubber horns were put in. With
rubber horns.
With the old tape over the thing.
Right.
You drill a hole and.
Every time you wipe the plane off, the flaps are in a different position than the time before.
Although when this was rebuilt, I've got a windy horn in the back, and I've got a, fiberglass push rod.
Yeah.
3-inch bell crank.
Oh, 74 ounces and a 3-inch.
bell crank.
Wow. Are we gonna have some fun when the wind starts blowing? Woo! Well, I'm glad you're flying and not me. I think you should opt to fly the little Cardinal myself.
Well, when you're flying with two of the best in the U.S., it's really intimidating.
Yeah, we'll show you.
Not the best, just the most intimidating.
Yeah.
All right, give us a flying lesson. We need one.
Club trainer, here. Put this on.
Oh, yeah.
You yank on it, it'll stall.
Right, well, we could try. Get a couple flights. We could try. Taping the hinge lines always helps on a heavy plane.
Is this my other
Yeah,
one?
yeah, I got it out of
I
the...
got this one.
When you have a plane that you feel is too heavy, the first thing to do is tape all the hinge lines up and extend the flaps. In this case, probably those are tiny flaps. Those are like Nobler flaps.
That's right. It's
You could put
Nobler airfoil.
you could put maybe even a ½ inch. Just tape it top and bottom on that. I did that with the original Cardinal. I couldn't believe it changes the whole characteristic of the whole plane. So how many other planes do you know? How many people you know have planes 15 years old that are still flying, you know? Something to be said for longevity, you know?
It's the wing. 22-ounce wing.
Yeah, 22-ounce wing. You can mix concrete with that.
Absolutely. Surfboard.
Surfboard, yeah, in case surfing ever comes back in style, you know. Look at these geese flying around here. I hear geese. Look at this, we're gonna get killed by geese. Anyway, this will be a nice chance today for we're hoping to see. This will be the first time Bob actually gets to get his hand on a handle today. And I was hoping to get him to fly the little Cardinal too, but Joe brought out the club, what he calls the club trainer. And what we decided to do, the air is not particularly good, is try to take advantage of some, he said it's 74 ounces, try to get a little more performance out of this. And it's always good even just to do it for exercise or practice. See what you can accomplish. I think I'll back up a bit, Joe. Rich run. Sounds rich anyway. Nice and cold this morning, 42 degrees on the way down here. Not exactly my first, he's just going to fly out a rich run. But there's another point you should always tell. Ron's here. Look at these geese. Look at this. Geese flying over. Go on, go back to Pennsylvania. Anytime you have a plane that isn't in total trim, it's a good idea. Hey, you can practice your trimming skills on it. I think Joe's just going to fly this out. This is the part we love. Starting the red hot motors. A little bit more realistic motor on here. Just look at those counter-rotating props. Looks like some of the haze is burning off, probably up to 43 degrees by now. The coats are still on, baby. Can always tell the heater's on the way here and the air conditioner's on the way home. We're just not happy. You'll love when the sun is right in your eyes. You getting all psyched up, Bob? Bird can still fly, no doubt about that. The thing I hate about Joe, he always shows off on the landing. Watch him fly into his toolbox here or something. Big Polaris.
Yeah, that was, I don't know, it ran too fast. Yeah, just stick it on the line again there.
Put on a line. It was fast at the end, Joe.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
For an old bird, though, it's still flying. Hey, for old birds, we're still flying.
Yeah, all of us.
Man, sure.
Some of the feathers are still on
On
there.
the engine side.
Your turn, Wendy.
Bob Martens, the king of Boeing. Anyway, we're so glad Bob is here visiting from, well, on a work job from Salt Lake City. His wife went back to Salt Lake City. And we wanted to get a handle in his hand so he could say he flew with the great Pablinskis, the great Adamuskos. should always show respect to your out-of-town visitors. Good line tension.
74 ounces is better, right?
It'll turn you on your ear. Come on, Bob.
Hey.
Oh, what a guy! Hey! What a bum! Now you've flown with the great pretenders.
That 60 size airplane's really...
You had two 24,000 gaskets in there?
I'm down to 124.
Leave 124 and we'll try it. Joe Adamusco, Boeing Supreme Test Pilot. Gonna try his hand in the bad air here. You can't see on the video, but the air is gone for the day here. This didn't last long. But we're still having fun. We got the jackets on and the coats. Freezing a little bit. We all got the Fly Joes playing, and well, I hope we get Bob here to get a flight on this guy. We're trying to force him into it. Anyway, again, the object is to get as many people's feedback. You can see the plane bouncing around with the wind here. As many people's basic feedback. This is on a longer set of lines. If we were going to go to a contest, we certainly would put the other set of lines on. And that's always a good point too. Nice calm air, long lines, windy, turbulent air, short lines. My suggestion is start at 62 feet if you're flying around trees. Maybe 64, 65, a nice open runway air. This looks like it's pulling 65 in the one flight we had, the air before the air went down the drain. And we should have the really fine tuning from Woody's tank on this by next week. We got a bunch more of those props to cut down. Got some more props John Brodak is going to be sending. So we'll hope to get some more fine tuning information on this. Now what I'm real particular about right now is listening to the motor run. Because this tank is such an improvement over the first tank, it's astronomical. And there's another guy flying here today, Ron Vargo, who has a K&B 40. And he's got a unique tank setup. I don't know if he's going to be over here later to fly with us. We can show his tank setup, which seems to work pretty well. Again, that's half the fun. It's getting the exchange of information and props and trim and all the things that make flying fun. And from this angle, you really can hear the motor, whatever there is of good or bad in this motor run. we missed Kyle and Daryl this morning. They were going to show up. I guess they had other things. Kyle, of course, super active in high school athletics and karate and probably a lot of other things he's got to do around the house. Mow the grass, rake the leaves, who knows. We'll be looking forward to seeing his new Tucker special real soon. Maybe he's working on it today, who knows. So we've added to our data bank here, I hope, and we'll see how what information Joe can give me here, plus or minus. Uh-oh. Now Ron's getting his plane out now. We'll go over there later. We're going to do some work on the field after we're done flying. It looks like a good day to work on the field because we have really lost the air. Whoa, what a landing, whoa! What a landing!
Take me some getting used to it. It's really like, you don't feel any pressure on your body.
No. Oh.
Looks good though in the air.
The dog liked it.
You want me to go? Yeah.
Even on a day like this, we're getting some flat. I can't believe how bad this air is. Now we got to try the longer length lines today. My conclusion is that this is going to be better off with about 1/4 ounce of tip weight extra. So the next session I get, I'm going to put the tip weight in now so I don't forget. It really was getting a little light at the top and in the overhead 8. A good indication it needs a little more tip weight. Now we made it through some pretty rough air today with the long lines. We now have 2 sets of lines in our arsenal, and we're a little bit more on a tip weight, 1/4 ounce more, and I'm going to monitor that constantly as we keep working on it. Joe got to get some flights. I'll tell you, it's really turning out to be a fun plane. It has put the fun back in modeling here. Everybody that's flown it so far has really been convinced it's a lot of fun. We should get our Woody Midgley tank soon, and hey, we're looking forward to even more development on this guy. Now I got a really boring day of work to do here in the shop, and boy, I'll tell you, these are the videos I got from Brian McCarthy. I wanted to put a couple of feet of this. This is really some nice footage. You know, this is in a class with those Battle of Britain Spitfire tapes. Nice cockpit footage. Looking right through the gun sight. There's some footage here looking through the gun sight, but basically some really nice stuff. This is the kind of stuff I really like. Now, you know, there's a lot of jobs you have to do. In this case, it's just something that's boring, if nothing. It's some World War II footage. There's some boring stuff you have to do, and boy, having a video, having some music, having, you know, some good company over it, you can get the worst day of boring work done. Look at this, right through the gun sight. Is this great? Oh man, I love this stuff. Anyway, these are the ones we got from Brian McCarthy. I think I put the address. There's a whole series of these, and I hope we're going to be able to add to our collection and be able to share them with everybody. Anybody that really wants to borrow this stuff, you know, let me know. Hey, I'm willing to, that's the whole willing to. Share is the whole idea of doing this in a first. Look at this, right through the gun sight. Oh yeah, take that. Cool. Anyway, really are enjoying this. And if you've ever been a pilot of a real plane, you know what this feels like. Look at this. Is this awesome or what? Listen to that sound. The sound is unbelievable. That is not the sound of a tune pipe 40 either. That is the sound of... Oh. Wish you could tape record that sound and play it while a Tiger 60's running or whatever. This is some tape. Hit a camo job on this. By the way, people don't realize Spitfires, a lot of them had the Tiger Shark mouth paint job. And that's one of the things I've considered for the I-beam Spitfire is having that that Tiger Shark mouth paint job.
Still get back home. If you pointed the damn thing in the right direction, you get pretty good results.
Okay, here you go, Banjock.
Getting up in the dark at 3 a.m. on a cold English morning was agony. I hated it. Never could seem to eat that early with a nervous stomach, so the fighter pilot's breakfast of coffee and a cigarette was standard. Then we'd head on over to the mission briefing to find out exactly where we were going and how many German fighters we could expect. After picking up helmet, chute, Mae West, and other equipment, we'd head out to the line.
See that canopy, Banjock? Make sure you get that perfect scale. Look at this. Oh my God.
When you got in a Mustang, it felt like you just strapped the wings on. You didn't feel like you had...
Brian, I have to give you a special word of thanks. You are an okay guy. I don't care what Banjock says about you.
More than any other plane I ever flew.
I see in a day, look at twin mirrors on it. Look at a wing. This is a nice paint job. And it's this kind of inspiration that really can get you to get up early in the morning and go buff your paint or do your rivet heads or whatever. Look at this. Twin mirrors.
Everybody's idea of a fighter plane. When World War II ended, there probably wasn't an American who didn't know what a Mustang was. And since then...
Well, I hope Banjock's Mustang is going to be just one of those ultimate scale details. Oh, I'm getting excited about seeing it myself.
A cockpit you pull
Look at
on
this.
like a pair of pants instead of climbing into. When England was looking for...
Well, while we're watching this, we still have to work. That's the problem with everything. Off to Boredomville.
American Aviation's Harvard trainers, the British ordered a new fighter from the company.
And in today's mail from Ed Gallagher again. And Ed, we're really getting into having some of this stuff around again. This is phenolic micro balloons for anybody that's never used this. I've seen this before, I've used it before, and it's excellent material. Super smooth, I'm just going to read right from the note. Super smooth powder type balloons. Sand's easiest of all, good for making your own filler for fillets out of epoxy or polyester. Add to dope instead of talc for ultralight filler. Now you can't see it in the thing, but this bag almost doesn't, well you can almost see it doesn't even fall over. Let me back down here. It's very, very light. This is probably a third the weight of talc. And we're going to be giving this a try as soon as we have something to paint. We still have that John Pothier epoxy. I want to get some props painted. I want to get some props made, in fact. And I wanted to get like 8, 10, 15 props together and then mix up that test epoxy that he had sent. And that'll give us enough. It's pointless to mix to do 1 or 2 or 3 props. We've been doing batches of 2 or 3. I want to do a big batch so that when we go out to the field and we have somebody using a K&B similar to the ones we have, we can let them try a prop and see how it works on their plane. Another thing, I'm just reading Ed's note here. This is something I've never tried before, but this is something that really has an application in our modeling. What he has is 2 different hardeners, the black cap. Well, let me get him out on the camera. Now this is from Glue Products of Florida, and by the way, they are an excellent source of epoxy resins and polyester resins. Okay, and what we have is resin itself. The resin is, and these are specifically made for layups. In other words, parts like Nobler cowlings. And as soon as we get to do another Nobler cowling, we're going to give this a try. One of these is a fast. 458 is the fast epoxy hardener. 451 is a slower hardener, and what you can do is mix parts of each one to give you as fast or as slow a cure as you want. Now, this is a whole system, I'm assuming, and I'm going to read the rest of the note. I'm assuming that one of the things I can do when I want a part to cure, like when we make those little manifolds, those little Spitfire manifolds, or soon to be making Mustang manifolds, you want to be able to pour it into the mold, and 15 minutes later demold it. Well, in the case of a Nobler Cal, we usually let them sit in the mold overnight. Now we'll have two different choices of, we can get it to cure out in 4 or 5 minutes, or you can let it cure overnight, either way. So these, again, adding to your base of information, so important. And always having it, what Ed usually does is he gives me a little documentation with each one of these resins, each one of these products. These are things he's used in the world of RC jets and things that he's experimenting with. And by us going back and forth, I can kind of fill him in on things that have worked for me. He's helped me endlessly. And we really have had a good time. He basically sees all the videos and sees what kind of problems I've had. And we always have gone back and forth and had a really good time. One of the best parts of modeling, for sure. Now, one of the things I'm going to try today and work on this, I've been having real luck with these. Are 12-4. You can't buy these props anymore. They're called AHMs. They're made out of beechwood. We've had real good luck so far with taking these props, cutting them down to 11.5, 11.25. These are 12-4s. I expect today or tomorrow to get another shipment of props from John. He's got some he wanted me to try. But one of the things to always remember is you can always take a larger prop. Now that we know that this engine is going to be happiest turning 11 to 11.25 in diameter, we can even take a 13-4. And notice what happens now. If we cut that one down, you see how much more blade area is out at the 11 we're getting more blade area at the tip by cutting down bigger props, and in effect you're getting less pitch. So it's always good to have a couple to experiment on. Number one, when these are both cut to 11.25 or 11.5, as the case may be, what will happen is I'll have more meat out at the tip. The airfoil will be a little bit thicker, and it'll place a little bit of a bit higher load on the engine. So what I try to do is maybe cut back 1/8 of an inch on diameter. Anytime you increase the blade area out here, you need to ultimately cut down on the ultimate diameter, or you increase the load to the point where it's too much of a load on the engine. But anyway, we've had good luck with these. We're waiting. My understanding is that you can't get 11.5 BY and O's real conveniently. So in the meantime, to fill a gap until we can get a selection of BY and O's, and probably one of the things we'd like to have if we could get our hands on some, is some 12-4 BY and O's, and do the same thing. So you can do the same thing with top flights, you can do the same thing with zingers. You basically, by cutting down a bigger prop, assuming you keep the pitch, is you're getting more area, more thrust area out at the edge, out at the tip, and that's where it does all the work. A prop really, the last inch of the prop does 95% of the work. This area in here really isn't critical, but this last inch is what's giving you all of the thrust, all of the helicopter effect, and the overhead 8 and everything comes from that last inch. Now, the significant gain we've had in the last week was the 65-foot lines ultimately wound up with a 1/4 ounce extra tip weight. That was a nice performance gain, having the longer lines. Now the trick is we're going to have the longer lines for nice air, 62-foot lines, probably for what I'll call GSCB, Middlesex rough air. This will be for nice air. Now we have those two combinations, I hope, real close to being worked out. And the next thing, the next part of this whole thing is to fine-tune the props. We know that what's a good combination so far is 11.5 BY and O's, but unfortunately difficult to find them in any kind of quantity, difficult to get them so far anyway. And we'd like to try 12.4s. We don't know if we're going to be able to cut those down yet. That's yet to be proven. We know we have the AHMs, 11.25 to 11.5. See, so by having some of this now, all of a sudden, little by little, we're getting all the data together that really makes this plane really perform up to the level that we really like to have it. We have the K&B with a tongue. John is sending me another tongue muffler, a different style of tongue muffler to try. And this is the Mazzoni tongue. So you can see little by little by little, all of the trim things have come with the lead outs on this. Wound up 1.5 inches behind the center of gravity. These are just basic trim things. That these are all working for us. Well, you can see the flights. You can judge for yourself. But keep in mind we're in some pretty marginal air here so far. And the biggest single improvement that we've made so far was the tank. The 1-inch wide tank was 100%, if not more, better than the wider tank for this particular airplane. This was the biggest single performance gain, and the reason we like to have all this stuff on video is if you go back to the original motor runs on the original few days and the motor runs from the last day, you'll see there's just a tremendous improvement, and it's something that when you build a plane, you can put right on a plane when you build it. You don't have to fool around. Another thing we've come in, we have now some more ears. I had to get some more of these from John. When Woody makes up a tank, Woody's going to make us up another tank so that we have, and by the way, we had the original tank was a 5-ounce, the 1-inch tank was a 4.5 ounce, and what I want, and that's even a little on the big side, we want to wind up with a 4-ounce tank. A 1-inch tank, 4 ounces, probably will work out ultimately the best for us. The reason is the smaller the tank, you can get the back of the fuel tank. It's the back of the fuel tank that matters. To get the back of the tank, when you have the engine here, just to make an example up, and you have the fuel tank way out here, wow, and that tubing is snaking all over there. By the way, that's another thing you don't ever want to do. You'd like to have the tubing in as close to a straight line and just snake around the motor if possible. Dropping that tubing way down here is definitely has a negative impact on the way the motor runs. As I said before, these are the things that have worked out well for us. Tongue, much better than the muffler that comes with the motor, obviously. We've wound up using a Thunderbolt plug. 1.5. That plug worked out real well. Actually, one of the surprises that worked out real well, the needle valve worked.
In Section 1, Peter Wilson stars as La Femme Nikita.
Hey, what brings you here?
Tom wanted me to drop something off.
Oh, yeah.
Now, like I said,
If you want.
But can she gain his trust, or will